Christopherson here again with another first listen review. And yes, I'm ready to babble my butt off again about another reissue. It is Oasis. They seem to be huge in the news right now, and they just reissued for their 30th anniversary of Definitely Maybe. If I'm not mistaken, that is the biggest or quickest selling UK debut of all time. I believe something like that, of any British band. Something along those lines, but it's Oasis, and they've come out with their 30th anniversary reissue. I know they just announced that they're reuniting. I think they're just doing some concerts. I don't remember how many. It's not going to be until next year anyway, but no new music from them until after that possibly, but they already said they're not recording anything new to go out. They're just going to go out and do some shows. So, I mean, for fans of Oasis, that's cool. I've talked about both the brothers, Noel and Liam, on their solo stuff, over the past couple years, and I'm still a fan of both of their, outputs they've had in the past few years. I actually like Oasis. I was late to the game with them. Right from the start. I actually got this album when it first came out, and I think it was through Columbia House. I was trying to remember how I got it. I believe it was through Columbia House. It was one of those deals where you get a bunch and whatever. And I remember seeing Rock and Roll Star on MTV and all that, and I thought, that's not too bad. It's like something I might be interested in. And I got I guess it was, I think I had it on CD. Yeah, I had a CD, and listening to it, and wasn't really super into it, quite honestly. And it wasn't until they did their Unplugged thing on MTV where Liam had a sore throat, I guess, and couldn't do it, and Noel sang the whole show, and I was like, wow, he's actually pretty good. And I don't know, I just remember hearing about him in the news all the time, the brothers fighting, and that seemed to be bigger than the music, I always thought, and up until that point. And that's when I started kind of following. Definitely Maybe still not my favorite album of theirs. They have a couple other ones as they went on. They're more raw in those days, and they kind of got more polished, and then they kind of started doing some more experimental stuff, I believe, at the end of I feel that way anyway, their stuff, the last couple albums, a little bit more experimental, at least with the production and the songwriting style. And they've been broken up for 15 years or something like that, so huge news. But anyway, back to this. Really wasn't going to get this one because they did their 20th anniversary, and they added a whole bunch of bonus stuff. They thought, what more could they possibly throw at this? But then I read up on it a little bit, which I'm glad I did. And what this one has that the 20th anniversary one didn't have is the original recordings of this album, because this album was recorded twice. It was originally done in another studio called Mono Valley Studios, I believe is how you pronounce that. And they recorded the whole thing with a different producer. His name was Dave Batchelor. He worked with some 70s bands that I'm not familiar with. He was friends with Noel, I guess. And they just kind of felt that those were dull and just didn't have the life that they needed. Kind of went back out and did a bunch more shows. Came back in, went to a different studio, got some Marshall amps and some Les Pauls and beefed up the sound a little bit. Re-recorded it again. But I guess before all that, Noel had gone back in and done a bunch of overdubs and kind of tried to add some stuff to it, which were eventually taken back out again and kind of left more raw. So that's what we get here as well, is the mixture of both of those on the bonus. And that's it, none of that extra, demos and live stuff. It was just that is what's included here, which that's what drew my interest here. I wanted to hear what that stuff sounded like. And, the 20th anniversary one just had a bunch of extra bonus and live stuff. So I guess they thought that this had been lost, but it had just been mislabeled apparently, and they found it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So the bummer about this thing is that the album itself is still the 2014 remaster, so you get that again, which I don't know why you would need that again, but here you get it, and then the bonus stuff. So that's what this all is. So I do what I normally do. I already had the 20th anniversary one of the remaster, so if you've heard that, it's the same thing. And if you haven't heard that, I kind of prefer, so this is one of those ones where I prefer the original album, just that had a different energy. Sometimes I think there's things you just shouldn't mess with. This is just one of those ones I think maybe it was better off the way it was. Just my personal opinion. There's a lot of albums I feel that way, and the remasters just kind of take away something. I don't know, it's because we're just used to hearing things a certain way. It's, you know, nostalgic for certain people. I don't know if that's part of it for me, could be, but I just know the energy and the way that felt just, and sounds, it's just, I like it better than the remaster, so that's my personal opinion on that. Now, as far as the bonus stuff goes here, definitely not going to go through every single song, but, you know, the first, you know, 8 songs here from the Mono Valley, and then the rest are from the Sawmills. Some of these are outtakes, I guess. There is, I take that back, there is one demo on here of Sad Song. It's the last one on here. It's that one's back from '92, so there is one demo on here. So, but all the rest are from those other sessions I talked about, and I can definitely see why they went in and did it. Just, you can hear that it's a lot different. It just it does have a different feel to it. It sounds really raw. I mean, like if you're into, like, you know, garage bands, you know, garage rock, you know, whatever, you know, Stevie Van Zandt calls that stuff, and Alice Cooper, I know they're all into that early stuff. Had that feel, but a little bit too, like, it doesn't have the energy. It just doesn't have the energy of what ended up being the final album. So I understand after listening to it why they went back in and did it. It was actually cool hearing this, and especially when they sing "I'd Like to Buy the World a Coke." I thought that was kind of funny. And some people may understand why that's funny, but some people may not. But they actually sang that in the Mono Valley versions there. I heard that, so that was kind of funny. But even just from going from that to the Sawmill versions, I have a feeling that these Sawmill versions are not the ones, because I know they recorded this. I don't know how many versions of each song they did, so this might be a different version. It does sound a little different than what ended up being on the final album there. I haven't gone back and compared, but I'm just guessing that these are probably just different versions of what ended up being the same, from the same sessions as the one being the final album. So, like I said, I'm just guessing that's what this is, but they didn't sound exactly the same. But this is back when bands went in and they just recorded stuff. They, you know, there wasn't all this, you know, fancy, you know, fixing the vocals and, you know, auto-tune and all that stuff. So the fact it's fun, raw energy, almost punk music, but it's got the British pop sensibilities and lots of vocal harmonies, really cool melodies, and it just has a cool energy that it's hard to describe. So I understand why Oasis became so big. They just were able to capture something that was very elusive to other bands, and they had a, you know, sound of their own, which I didn't catch when I first listened to this. I was more of a metalhead back in these days, and over the, you know, it's been 30 years, so over the past, you know, few years, I have definitely broadened my horizons. I was quite young when this first came out, and over the years, my musical tastes have, you know, expanded like immensely, and I get it now. It took me a couple of their albums for me to get that. Like I said, the unplugged stuff, and I could really hear what they sounded like, you know, more raw, really raw, is when I really started to appreciate how great of a songwriter Noel was. And I really like the stuff that he's done with the High Flying Birds. I don't know any of my friends that even know who that is. You know, I'm in the States here, and they're not really that big over here. A lot of people know who they are, and I don't think anybody's heard anything that Liam's done here since he's left. So, you know, this coming back out, and, you know, a lot of my friends were talking about this. I'm like, how can you not know about this other stuff that they've done, but you're a big fan of Oasis? It's kind of weird. But anyway, it was fun listening to. Definitely worth it, just for that extra stuff. Although I will probably not go back and listen to this, because it gave me more of an appreciation for what the final version is, hearing what they did and why they re-recorded it a couple different times. And that's probably about all the babbling I'm going to do about that one, because I can only say it so many different ways. But anyway, it was cool. So if anybody out there is, I always welcome you to feel free to, like, leave any comments and what you think about Oasis, or, you know, if you're excited or could care less about the reunion, whatever you feel like, you know, just be respectful of other people's opinions, because there's no need to be disrespectful for any reason. It's just music. We're supposed to enjoy it. That's what music is for, enjoying And if you don't, then just don't listen to it. It's that simple. But anyway, enough of me babbling. Like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because wouldn't that be awesome if they actually did record something after these shows? Another new Oasis? I don't know. I think it'd be pretty cool. But fingers crossed. And until next time, we'll see you.